So you should be looking at a Firefox browser that says NitroView in the upper left-hand corner. This is the GUI interface that you use to access the NitroView system, whether you're using the NitroGuard IPS product, our Nitro DBM product, the NitroView receiver for third-party analysis, or any combination thereof. It's the analytics interface, so this is where you come to analyze events, to make decisions, control and command decisions. It's the configuration interface for our IPS, DBM receivers, and it's also where you go to configure your reporting and notification system. So everything comes here to this one browser interface. It works on SSL-enabled browsers that have Flash interfaces. You'll see here I'm running on Firefox. It works well with IE. Experientially works well with Opera, Safari, and even Google Chrome. So you'll see here in the upper left-hand side a device tree. And under this device tree, we have a variety of different flavors of data coming into the system. So we're bringing in third-party events from a Cisco ASA firewall. We have an event correlation engine running there. We have a Windows domain controller, just to show you a nice variety of different event types. We have a pair of NitroGuard IPSs running out there. And we also have our NitroView DBM. And that NitroView DBM is monitoring MySQL database, an Oracle database, and a SQL Server database. Again, normalizing those events so that they're easy to understand. You don't need your handy-dandy SQL decoder ring to try and to determine what's happening. And a single appliance can monitor multiple database types. You don't have to pay additional if you're monitoring 2 Oracle servers and then someone wants to add a MySQL server. A single appliance will monitor all those devices regardless of the mix that you have. So I'm going to start off with some basically a quick test drive of the database system. You'll see here that there are multiple views that come with NitroView. And we're going to focus really on the database views of the data. You'll see that there are different views that can show you the data as a function of a specific key query. So if you're looking for DDL type events or DCL type events, you can go for that. You can see here database log on, log off. We have the capability of sitting in the network with our passive device and discovering new database servers. Where we found that to be useful is to sit in front of a data center, and while we're monitoring database traffic going to your known database servers, we'll find when someone has brought up a database server that is outside of production scope, and they haven't notified the security team or they haven't notified the production team. They just said, hey, I want a SQL server for this particular use. I'm just going to bring it up. Again, we help you identify these new security threats in your environment, because if they're not bringing this into production, if they haven't identified that, maybe running at a lower patch level, may not be up to your corporate security standards. Database privilege user audit trail, monitoring for schema changes in the database, service level violations, suspicious activity, so general category for anything that looks unusual, system level changes, consumers of sensitive data, user privilege changes. And you'll see here, these are views that ship with the system. The NitroView system is has tremendous ability to customize views of the data. You'll see here folders for various SEs who have access to the system. They don't ship with the system, but it speaks to how we can get in and modify these views to provide a specific view specific to any operator of the system, whether they're a DBA, a security admin, a Windows admin, Linux admin. You can build exactly the view that user wants specific to their job role and job function. So what I'm going to start off with here today is the database systems level changes. So we're just looking at an overall view of what are we seeing on these database servers that we've detected over the network, that impact the system, and who's been making those changes. So you'll see, in this case, so far for the last 24 hours, we've been seeing changes in our SQL Server environment. I see some master table changes, some server configuration changes, database configuration changes, and you'll notice that these components are all bound. They all have this dialog up here that says bound to, and what that indicates is an internal Nitro relationship that's bound by SQL queries, so that a single click in this component, in the database system level events component, causes these components to requery. So if I were to select the master table changes event and select that, you'll see that these components again requery the database very fast, access to the data from a single view. So now I can look at this and say, okay, well, all these master table changes happen on this 228.119 database server. They were all issued by SA. That may or may not be a good thing in your environment. It may be a good thing because the only person who should be making system level changes is SA. Maybe you don't want. Maybe it's a bad thing because you don't want SA logging directly across the network as SA. It depends on what your enterprise policies are, how they're implemented. Again, we detect all this behavior, and it's normalized so that I'm certainly not a database expert, but I can figure out and understand where all these signatures mean. From here, you'll see that in each one of these query components, we have a drill down menu. From any one of these drill down menus, I have access to pivot down and continue the query chain into any of these indexed fields. So if I want to find out, what were the destination IPs that were involved in this particular attempt, if there's application data involved in here, what permit users, even bind it to a topology view. So Nitro has the capability of going out and understanding the subpenning network infrastructure, your layer 2, layer 3 infrastructure, Cisco and Foundry HP switches and routers, and find out, where in my environment are these events happening. We can also do that. Again, I can pivot to flow information. So if I want to see, master table change by itself may be very lightweight on the network, but you can see that within the last 24 hours, we've seen 10,000 of these master table changes occur to the database server. I can now pivot to my flow database, which is in the same 3U appliance, and retrieve information about how many bytes were consumed, how many packets were on the wire, so on and so forth. Summarized by, I'll get into in just a second, but for now, let's just go ahead and drill into the events specific to the alerts that we saw there.